And then in this video later on, I would like to mention another important event that will happen in the year 2022. And this is the conjunction of Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces, which will take place exactly from April 9 to April 17. But we will feel it all April. Shortly to say, it speaks of the supremacy of spirit over matter. It speaks about the power of collective feelings and the failure of political plans. So when Jupiter makes the conjunction with Neptune, this is the culmination of Neptune's transit through Pisces. And Neptune is in Pisces from 2011 to 2026. It brings chaos and manipulations, but also spiritual renewal. So the last time Neptune and Jupiter met was in 2009. They met 3 times in the last degrees of Aquarius. And this is very significant because first Pluto entered the sign of Capricorn in 2008, and then Jupiter and Neptune met in 2009. So what this means? While Pluto symbolizes total collapse of political system, and those things that were created at the end of 18th century, we mentioned, then the conjunction of Neptune and Jupiter immediately after that, year after that, meant fantasies about renewal and the belief that everything will be solved and everything will be fine, and then they're just pumping money and squandering money without cover. And they also start presenting to masses that some very, very unreal story that like nothing bad really happened. However, now 13 years later, after 2009, some disappointment will come. That's inevitable. Whatever they try now to juggle or to invent, it is not possible to stop historical events. Sometimes you can play with this, you can prolong, but there are the time when things have to be taken in account. So this can possibly mean the end of capitalism, capitalists, colonizers, pyramidal structures, and creation of these networks that we are talking about. Why did we say that when those two planets meet, then political plans have no future? Well, because if somebody makes political plans with this conjunction, those plans are not realistic. Because Neptune and Pluto are the combination of mystics, artists, prophets, and so. So they do not have anything in common with politics and concrete material reality. But it is interesting that this conjunction often appears when people need to make some reforms, as it happened in 2009. Well, now is definitely time to recalculate everything. Inflation of some kind or collapse of economic and financial system is inevitable. And of course, those creators of big reset idea know about this, and that's why they want to create this house in 2022, because they would like somehow to, I guess, to control it in a way, or to use it for themselves, something like that. I will here tell you some historical parallels, and let's see when Jupiter and Neptune met in history. Now in the year 2022, Jupiter and Neptune will meet in water sign. And according to Chinese calendar, in the year 22 and 23, water will be very strong. Actually, water emerges now as the element after some time. So following the symbolism of water and searching for the meaning of this conjunction in previous centuries, I discovered that really a lot of things happen on the water when those two planets met, especially in Pisces. And I think that now, in this year, 2022, probably also in 23, there are some fights on the water, or there will be changes because of the things that are happening on the water. So let's have a look when those two planets met the last time. It was in the year 1856. Nothing really big happened. But when this conjunction happened in March 18, few months after that, Nikola Tesla was born. And his discoveries are quite important. He, in his horoscope, also has Algol in conjunction with Uranus that we are expecting to come. And I guess that his discoveries are used by both sides now in this war that we have, informational or any other war. Also in 1856, England was in war with Persia. We can maybe also expect something happening now in the Middle East, because we know that also the repetition of the 30-year cycle from the 90s say that America in the 90s attacked Iraq. So it's possible that things are happening there also. Then in 1856, that was the end of Crimean War on the Crimea. And in Paris Congress, they actually wanted to restrict Russia Empire to have the access to the Black Sea. So now we will see, will there be something similar or complete opposite? Also in the 1856, there was the declaration of the law of the sea, when they forbid the state piracy. Piracy was banned in that time. Then in that time, the first railway bridge over the Mississippi opened. Then also Danube Commission established, the Danube, the river. Also, it's interesting that Pan-Slavic Committee was established in Moscow, and I think that we are expecting something like that to happen this year or next year also. Maybe not only now Slavic Committee, but I guess the committee that will include other nations also. Also in the year 1856, British and French forces were attacking China, and they, at the end of the year, they burned the canton, and after that they took the city. And let me remind you that China got back Hong Kong in the 1997 with the conjunction of Neptune and Jupiter. Just it was in Capricorn, not in Pisces. So things will happen somewhere there also. If we go further back in the history, we see that in the year 1690, Turkish forces against conquer Belgrade, and there were big migrations of Serbs to the north and to the west. And definitely we can expect now in Europe some migrations, maybe now from the west to the east, if things do not change. I mean, those lockdowns and similar things that they're doing. And those migrations that we experienced in the last years from the east to the west, especially to Germany, they were happening mainly, they started mainly in 2015, when Neptune was already in Pisces and Saturn was in Sagittarius. So Neptune in Pisces brings migration, Saturn in Sagittarius was creating borders at that time. Later on, they let migrates to come. Also in the year 1690, French people gave their territories to England, which was this country with the sea, I don't know how to say in English. And also, if we go further in the past, we see that in the year 1524, Europeans conquered the bay around New York. There are fights there. And also, if we go further back, in the year 1357, the construction of Charles Bridge in Prague began, and it lasts for now. So all of those things were happening when Jupiter and Neptune met in Pisces. These were those historical parallels. But I want to add something else. From the astropsychological point of view, Pisces represents collective feelings. Pisces in general represents loss of everything that is individual. They represent some sort of karma, a point where individual experience merge with the collective experience. That is why it is important to know that in April we can do a lot when we are united together in one experience of the world, and if we believe also in our visions.